Let's bring in former CIA Chief of Station and Fox News contributor Dan Hoffman. Dan, as Oscar Fernandez was saying there, Cubans have been waiting since 1959 for a regime change there in Cuba. Will indicting Raul Castro and others who were, according to the DOJ, involved in the shoot-down of these two Brothers to the Rescue aircraft do anything to hasten that process along?
Yeah, listen, I think we're closer now than arguably we've ever been before. And keep in mind, against the backdrop of this very critically important DOJ indictment today, we had Secretary Rubio delivering a Spanish language address to the Cuban people, offering some humanitarian assistance delivered through the Catholic Church and a way out, a future. Where people shouldn't be denied the right to vote and democratic process. We've got U.S. military enforcing a blockade. Director CIA Ratcliffe having visited Cuba kind of reminds me of in The Godfather with Tom Hagen as the consigliere telling the Castro regime and their supporters that it might be time to go and think about a succession plan. I can tell you behind the scenes at CIA, there's a lot of very careful analysis about just how weak Cuba is as a result of rendering Maduro to the United States, eliminating the oil that Cuba was relying on from Venezuela, and also consideration for our national security of Cuba's relationship with China and Russia and North Korea and Iran. They're kind of a junior partner in this century's axis of dictatorship. If we can cut those links, the Western Hemisphere will be far more safe and secure.
Yeah, Dan, this was more from Todd Blanche when we were left wondering about additional charges and whether or not this investigation will bring any more. Listen here.
There is not a prosecutor in this room or an FBI agent in this room that ever stops investigating. So whether there will be additional charges, whether are additional defendants charged, who knows? But an investigation like this is never over.
Your thoughts on that?
Look, the Cuban regime is responsible for a litany of crimes, and there's certainly lots of opportunities, I think, for the Department of Justice to bring some, to shine the spotlight on those crimes that were committed and bring justice. And I would expect that we may see more in the coming days and weeks ahead.
If that's your buddies at the CIA pinging you there, please share with us, Dan. Maybe they got some more information to provide. I joke.
That's my 13-year-old son leaving middle school, John, and we'll just have to get back to him in a few minutes.
Yeah, you know, I was saying this morning that I half expected to see Raul Castro being frog-marched into a federal detention facility as this indictment news conference was underway. Do you know if there's any plans for a Maduro-style apprehension of Castro? Or, I mean, as Todd Blanche said, you know, whether he chooses to turn himself in or we get him by other means. I don't expect he's going to turn himself in. So, you know, if there's any plans for, quote, other means?
I could promise you with the highest level of confidence that there are plans on the shelf to render him if needed. Now, whether we end up doing something as proactive as that or not remains to be seen. But I'm not sure that we would simply indict him with no plan whatsoever to bring him to justice. So I think we just have to wait and stay tuned for further action here.
Fair enough. Dan Hoffman, what a day, what an afternoon. Thank you very much for jumping on the breaking news with us.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.